Hi, amazing people. FlamesTalk AFCON 2021 special is back again, and today is the last ride. I feel so sad to come to this point. I am very, very emotional right now. AFCON 2021 has been spectacular. It's been awesome so far, but I am not alone. I have the best of the best on the show today. We are going to be discussing how the AFCON 2021 has been so far. So are you ready to see what's going to happen? Take a sip of some juice or tea. I know the weather is cold out there, and come back. Hey guys, back to FlamesTalk AFCON Special, and today is the last show. It's going to be exciting. We have a lot to talk about, seriously. AFCON 2021 has been massive. We're going to be talking about all of that. What has gone wrong, what we should have done better with regards to the Super Eagles and the officiating as well. Ebi, I'm going to start with you.
Oh dear.
Nigeria crashed out in the second round. How did you feel about it?
Obviously disappointed, but I wasn't too surprised. I think I said in the last edition that I was in that it's always a roller coaster ride with the Super Eagles, and I'm always prepared for what's going to happen. I'm always prepared because this is it's something that happens all the time. You go in with high hopes, and you expect the Super Eagles to do extremely well, and then something like this happens. I must admit that my hopes were raised because of how well we did during the group stage, but I still kept my expectations low just so that I don't end up really disappointed. But I was very sad, and especially to see the Tunisia that beat us, how they ended up, they didn't seem that strong in the subsequent games. So I was like, why didn't we get that Tunisia? We seem to get quite a strong Tunisia. I
have the feeling that when it comes to Nigeria, every team wants to beat us. Every team wants to live up to expectations. I beat the Super Eagles.
Well,
so
yeah.
Before, when it comes to Nigeria, they all wake up.
The thing is, I think there was a lot of psychological stuff as well going on there because, there was all this stuff in the paper about how they had COVID, like a lot of their big players had COVID or something, or a lot of the team had COVID. Maybe the Super Eagles thought, a lot of their players aren't going to be playing, so their strength has been taken away from them. And we probably just went in kind of a bit overconfident that we're going to win, and it just didn't happen.
Deal. The players that did not come to this tournament, did you think it counted against us? Osimhen, Dennis, Igalo. Was that to our own detriment?
I believe so. I believe it contributed to us being knocked out early, to be quite honest with you, because one prevailing theme I saw, even throughout the group stages, was the fact that our strikers were not sharp enough. We did spread our goals across, I think, 6 players, all the goals we scored in the tournament. But if you look at Nigeria's identity over time, when we go into tournament, we always have a major striker contributing the bulk of the goals and then being the kind of like the star of our team. In the last AFCON, we had Igalo. In the AFCON of 2013, we had Emenike. In the past, we had Yekini. So we've always had that main striker shouldering the bulk of the goal scoring responsibilities. I didn't see that in the group stages. So yeah, to be quite honest with you, we did miss Osimhen. He's very sharp, and we know on his day he can convert a lot of the chances that Umar, Sadiq and Awoniyi flopped. So yes, we did miss him. I'm not a huge fan of Igalo, but I have to be honest with you, he is still a sharp shooter. He's still a competent striker, and he knows his way to goals. So yes, we do miss him as well. When it comes to Dennis, the only reason why I'm not sure that, from my perspective, the only reason why I would not at this point say that we miss Dennis is because you see people like Awoniyi and Umar doing fantastically well for their clubs, only to come to the AFCON and slightly underperform. So I cannot I cannot stick my neck out for Dennis yet, because there's nothing to say that he would not have turned out to be like Awuni and Uma. But Igalo and Osimhen are proving in club football and international football. So we miss both of them.
I don't think Dennis could turn out like Uma. No disrespect to Uma, but he can't.
Why do you say so?
It just wouldn't even be possible. Uma has a long way to go.
Dennis has played for the Super Eagles, Mr. Sam. Dennis has played for the Super Eagles before. How did he perform?
I mean, I don't remember him doing anything exciting, but
exactly.
I think he's matured a lot since then, though, hasn't he?
He has matured a lot. But just the way his attitude of late, and some of the comments that he's been making when he's been asked about whether he wants to come and represent Nigeria.
Yeah.
For me, I don't like if you show that you don't want to play or you're half-hearted. I don't think you should be called up.
Okay, so that's a different discussion. But
yeah.
I think I said that before as well. I talked about the fact you should be proud. You should show some pride when you don the Super Eagles jersey and you're playing for your national team. So the question is, are you talking about his attitude or his ability to actually?
I think his ability. I mean, if we got the Dennis that was playing at Watford that's been scoring goals in the Premier League, but I definitely think we'd have a different story in this tournament for sure. Ability-wise, there is no doubt, but I do think your attitude will affect your ability. If you don't want to be there, you're not going to be able to perform at the highest level. So I just don't think he should have come.
I think one of the problems we have in the Super Eagles as well is egos. I think we have too many kind of like stars in a way, and maybe everybody comes in kind of thinking, I'm the star, and because they're playing for EPL clubs, etc. And that probably kind of harms the unity that they have.
Yeah. Do you know what? Even at this tournament, I think Eguavoen, the way he put out his team was so good. We're used to seeing players like Iwobi in the starting lineup, for Nigeria every single time. But this time around, he said there's no favourites. We're going to put in players that are actually performing. And I think this was a massive wake-up call for a lot of the players. But I know we'll probably go in to talk about that. But yeah, I think that was really good from Eguavoen this tournament.
We would come back to the Super Eagles. But before we come back, I would like to ask, AFCON 2021, Mr. Kosi, how has it been for you? You were covering the games. Rate AFCON 2021. Did it live up to his hype?
Thank you, Flames. I'll get to that, but just let me take a few seconds to sort of play an advocate for Sadiq Umar. I think he's done well for his club, Almeria, and sometimes for these type of players, you have to play to their strengths. When you have Sadiq Umar, he likes to get onto the end of things, and when you have wingers like Samuel Chukwueze, who 9 times out of 10 will cut into their left foot and drifting side. Such wingers won't bring out the best in Sadiq Umar. So I think perhaps just maybe Nigerians are a little bit critical of Sadiq Umar, because if the team plays to his strengths, he has the ability to deliver more than we saw at the AFCON. Now to the AFCON proper, how it's been. There were a lot of talk prior to the tournament, that sort of cast a bit of a shadow. The comments from Europe, some coaches, the non-release of players, the fact that we weren't quite sure how ready Cameroon were to host, the tournament. But I think on match day 1 on the 9th of January, when Cameroon took on Burkina Faso, I started to see the AFCON in a different light. There was a lot of fanfare, the opening ceremony, the kind of play that I saw from the Cameroonians and also the Burkina Faso team, kind of made me feel confident that we will have a good tournament. Then the subsequent matches didn't produce a lot, I have to say, in terms of goals and all of that. But it's been remarkable in many ways. You look at defending champions Algeria, Ghana, and the strides that some countries like Malawi, Gabon, Comoros, what these guys were able to do at this tournament. So it kind of showed how much football has traveled around the continent, that what you know in Nigeria, they know somewhere in the Comoros in terms of how to play the game, right? So all in all, it's been a good tournament, to be fair. A fantastic theme song also. If not for the incidents that happened at the Olembe Stadium, the stampede that saw 8 persons lose their life, and multiple more get injured and all. I think it's been a good tournament. As far as the television aspect of it is concerned, because I hear a lot of journalists, who were on ground or who are on ground still to cover the event, complain that some things like the hospitality aspect of organizing a tournament was not well planned and all of those things. But as far as the football side is concerned, I'd rate the AFCON quite highly. I'd say a 7/10.
7/10. Oh, okay. Does anybody have a contrary opinion? Officiating? I think officiating was poor.
Well, the red cards. What the hell was going on with the
crazy? It was like they're not dishing out red cards anyhow.
Yeah, everybody was
correct.
That was quite funny. Does anybody actually know how many red cards have been given out in this tournament?
I'm not sure of the number, but all I know is it's more than the past 4 tournaments at least.
Yeah. And I think that may be to do with the VAR. We started using VAR, haven't we, this time round?
Yeah.
We haven't used it before. So I reckon that's probably one of the reasons. VAR's...
the most painful red card of all was that of Iwobi. Did you think that was a red card offense?
I think it was a red card. I think it was.
It was a red card.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think so.
I just felt really sorry for him. Because obviously he didn't do it deliberately, and the kind of backlash he got from
that's crazy.
I mean, that was just that. Because the thing is, I was watching it. I saw when he was given that red card after 7 minutes or something. I had to turn away from the screen. His face was just. It was just really sad, to be honest. Yeah,
it's upsetting.
It was really upsetting, and then everything that happened after that. All the, people saying, I hope you catch COVID, and, it's wrong. It's just those young men, for them to go out there and play for their country, there's a huge burden on their shoulders to try and satisfy 250 million people. And then you get, people, some of these people promising them money and telling them that, the happiness of Nigeria depends on them, and, there's a lot of pressure on these young men. So it was really sad. But I think it was the correct decision.
AFCON 2021, when the tournament started, we were very skeptical about Nigeria, and then we saw them play against Egypt, and it was massive. We saw the play, and everybody tagged Nigeria as the team of the tournament and expected us to win. And then we were playing so well, and then we saw football happen across the Cameroon. A lot of people were not happy with the gameplay in Cameroon. All the teams were just basically knock, tackle. There was no great football. And then we are in the final. These 2 teams in the final, Senegal and Egypt, do they deserve to be in the final? Mr. Dio?
I don't think Egypt does.
I think they definitely. I think both teams deserve to be in the final. Yes, I think if anything, both teams, because I have to be honest with you, when I started watching both teams, because I started following both of them as potential tournament favorites, at some point I switched off because they were underwhelming and they were very slow and they were a bit laborious. But what both teams have actually taught us, I remember Italy as well, starting very slow in USA 94 and eventually reaching the final. What both teams have taught us is that it's not how you start, but how you develop into the tournament and how you get to the end that really matters. So they have both methodically worked their way, and they have actually, both of them, they have kind of like shed the cloth of fancy football. They have been very pragmatic and business-like. Their brand of football haven't been that exemplary, haven't been that beautiful to watch, but what? They got the job done. So there's something ruthlessly efficient about both teams, and I think they both.
And so when I say they got the job done, I mean we should have left Raw because Raw was getting the job done, but we're playing bad football.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think with Raw, we definitely would have reached minimum the quarterfinals.
Exactly.
I can bet my money. I can bet my mortgage on that. We would have definitely reached the quarterfinals, because if you look at that Tunisia game, and then when you then balance the Tunisia game with their next game, I think it's against Burkina Faso. Yeah. If you look at the two games, just like Ebi rightly said, when they played Nigeria, they were very tactical. They were very methodical, and they played it very safe. They got their goal and just defended their goal. But when they played the next game, what happened? They were open. They were very open. But because they knew they were playing Nigeria, they had to do what they had to do.
They did their homework. They did their homework.
They did their homework and did what they have to do to get over the line.
Yeah.
And then the next game, they thought, okay, we've dispatched with Nigeria. Now we can be open and we can be our normal self, and they were punished.
Can I drop something in here? Mr. Dio, remember when you were asked who you'd like to see Nigeria within the final?
Exactly.
Who did you say? Burkina Faso. How ironic that Burkina Faso actually went further than us, and they played the team that we lost to, and they beat them.
We lost.
I was like, where's Mr. Dio? I hope Mr. Dio is watching this unfold right before he plays.
I think I very much agree. The Tunisians had a plan.
They had a plan.
First off, they crowded the midfield and found a way to isolate Wilfred Ndidi, in the sense that Kelechi Iheanacho is the one in the attacking midfield position. So he's the one roaming within the third of the Tunisians. So what I expected was for Joe Aribo to pull back a little bit for us to have more bodies, just to be there a bit more alongside Wilfred Ndidi. That didn't happen. So when the Tunisians took over the midfield, in terms of the numbers that they had there, they forced us to go to the wings too. And they already had a contingency plan, especially for Moses Simon. So we were outthought. So which is why I was always the one to say amongst my friends, or maybe in the workplace, that look, go out there and express yourself. It's not football tactics. Before, and then he came in, and then unfortunately for him, and that red card is where we are today. Maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago, he wouldn't have been sent off for that kind of incident. But here we are, and probably is going to get worse. With every passing day, football is becoming less and less of a contact sport in the eye of the referees and the rule makers. I'm not so comfortable with it, but in today's football, Alex Iwobi's tackle was deserving of a red card. But overall, the Tunisians, they outstuffed us in that round of 16 game.
I remember again, and when I was watching the match, I remember Ebi as well, funny enough. And I want to go back to the question I was asked when in that last show, that are Nigeria tournament favorites. One of the reasons I gave for not labeling Nigeria tournament favorites was the fact that I said that I had not seen a Guavos team try to claw back a deficit. I remember saying that. I remember saying that I have seen Ross. I said I have seen Ross' team come back against Cameroon in the quarterfinals to claim victory from the jaws of defeat. So I said, because I haven't seen that, Iguava's team have been, I wouldn't say they've had it easy, but at least they won all their 3 group matches without having to come back from behind. And the only match that they needed to come back from behind, they couldn't do it.
Lost.
So I remember Ebi picked an issue with me on that and went back to the Syria match. I said, that's not fair. That's not fair. I said, okay, let's see.
But Iguavon, I mean, I feel sorry for Iguavon, because he also, it's almost been like an anticlimax, because he started off really well, and to a point where, fans are fickle anyway. Everybody was so excited. Yes, we need to keep Guavo. He's better than Raw. We have this our indigenous coach, local coaches, get rid of foreign coaches, etc. That's what we were getting whilst things were going well. As soon as we lost that match, you need to see the WhatsApp groups. Get rid of Guavo. We don't need him. He's no good. He's inexperienced. And I'm like, these are the same people that were saying, this the other day. I think they should keep him anyway. I think they should keep him. I think he can grow into it. I think he can.
So, Mr. Sam, AFCON is done and dusted for Super Eagles. And then we're facing a huge task, which is qualifying for the World Cup. And we're going to play Ghana. What are your thoughts about that?
You know what's funny? When they were doing the draw, I looked at the team and I said, we're playing Ghana. We're 100% playing Ghana. I called it from the beginning. Do you know what? Looking at both teams on paper, if you base it off the performances at the Africa Cup of Nations, Nigeria should go into those two games and we should beat Ghana. I think Nigeria should book their place at the World Cup this year. But like we've seen this tournament as well, the players that you've got on the team means nothing. It's all about who turns up on the day. Nigeria don't have the greatest record against Ghana, so I think going into that game is going to be a bit worrying. But on paper, we should go into those two games and win it. The only thing I'm quite worried about is obviously the coaching situation. Now, I'm hearing that there's rumors that Eguavon's going to get the job permanently. I'm not too sure. But from what's been confirmed, we're getting a new head coach in Pereira. Now, Ghana are getting a new head coach in Chris Hughton, somebody that is, coaching the Premier League. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to guarantee that he's going to take Ghana to new heights. There's no guarantee of that. But I think, looking at the things going into that game, we should be quite worried. I don't think we should head into that game thinking that we're 100% going to beat Ghana. Ghana still have talented players. They still have players that they can bring in that haven't played for the Black Stars yet. And Chris Hughton being coach could be that decider. They're looking at guys like Callum Hudson-Odoi, who hasn't played yet, or Tariq Lamptey. Chris Hughton managed Tariq Lamptey. So this could be somebody that, do you know what I mean? He could be somebody that can get the best out of him and convince him to come and play for Ghana rather than England. So there's loads of different factors that go into it. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the person that will go to the World Cup, or the team that will go to the World Cup will be the team that turns up in those two legs. Having said that, when you look at Nigeria's squad, we did have many missing players going into the AFCON. Somebody like Osimhen coming in now is going to play a massive part for us. Like, I'm really excited for him to come back into the team. I do think, like Dio was saying before, we were missing that pivotal striker. But now that we have that, it could be a completely different story heading into these World Cup qualifiers. So we'll just have to see.
But
I've watched games like Nigeria, Ghana.
We still have Okoye in goal.
Listen, we've got. Do you know what it is with Okoye?
I think he played a major part in the outside of the Super Eagles.
Listen, at the end of the day, I'm not the biggest fan of young goalkeepers in general. Now, even when I was, how you was talking about how, I think it was Dio that was mentioning that there hadn't been a game under Eguavon where we had to, come from behind and win a game. Now, I was saying after the group games, Nigeria were never my favourites to win. I had hope because they're my country. I want them to win, but they were never my favourites to win the tournament. My favourites were always Senegal. Even on podcasts I'd done before the tournament, I had always said it's Senegal. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But I was always saying that it doesn't matter what happens in the groups. Anything can happen. But I've never been a big fan of young goalkeepers in general. But I do think we need to cut some of these players some slack. Like, we put so much pressure on them, and as soon as they make a mistake, it's like, oh, you need to get out of the team, you're this, you're that.